Drinking coffee.
We get asked a lot for how we make our handles. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Dani with Nora Knives. We will start with raw material. This is just like a block of wood. We'll get it in, we'll cut it down with a bandsaw, stabilize it ourselves, or send it out to be stabilized. Stabilization, where they kind of infuse it with, it's like a plastic resin. It's done under a vacuum process. Pores in the wood are basically filled with the resin, and it makes it a lot more durable, where there's less warping. And once we cut it down to size with the bandsaw, we usually end up with scale sets like this. We try to keep them book matched, that the grain matches all the way around. This is kind of our ideal format, and we call it a set of scales. We will either work with just like a single wood, put it on a handle, or glue up multiple different pieces. A handle template, and kind of for ease of use, all of our knives are custom to make our lives a little bit easier. We've tried to standardize the handle size and shape. We tend to do Western handles. We like that a little bit more. We occasionally will do Waz, Japanese style handle, and we do those, but honestly our preference is Western. We have templates that we use, and this is kind of what I start with. Sometimes I start with the materials we have, or I'll get an idea. We'll take a piece of scrap, chipboard, sketch this on, and then actually sketch my idea. A main piece of wood, and then we put an accent piece of resin, G10. Once I kind of know my rough dimensions, set it up so I can see visually how I want it to lie. This is going to be a scrap set that we have, but I wanted to show you. The biggest thing when we do multiple pieces, we have to make things flat. When I get different pieces, like this is a piece of G10, we use a lot of different colors, woods, or we'll mix them. Definitely not shy with color. Once we get a layout like this, roughly where I want to place things, biggest thing that I have to do, the mating pieces flat. If I get them flat, if I don't have things flat, or like at 90-degree angles, I'm getting huge gaps, which is what we want to avoid when we're making our handles. You want to jump in while you're looking so fly?
It's whatever you want.
You get to be a part of it.
All right. So first thing I do is I always flatten the bottom, so you have a good index, kind of know what's going on. And what I do is I look for the scratch pattern. So you can kind of see like there's a low spot here and a low spot here, and you can kind of see what scratches will tell you if it's perfectly flat or not. And we know this plate is reasonably flat, or at least flat enough that gluing something up to it, you're not going to see any gaps. So I just basically go until I get a nice even scratch pattern. Now on some of the thinner stuff we do, I won't actually do that because your fingers will actually press and give different patterns. So if I take something really thin, like just imagine a piece of paper is the scale, well, wherever I go, it's only gonna do, you can see my finger marks, it's only gonna put pressure where my fingers are. On real thin stuff, instead of using a flat plate, we'll actually use just a piece of sandpaper and rough it up, because when we glue it together, that's actually gonna make it a little more malleable. It'll actually compress to itself and make it nice and flat. And then we take the 1, 2, 3 block and we hold it really tightly against that surface that we just made flat. You don't wanna hold it against the other surface, because then you have no idea where it's at. You can then take it and with some pressure, what I call reading the sandpaper. Can you see how it's a nice even mark all the way around? If I did that, that made it nice and smooth. Now let's say, so this is a piece of wood, and you can see that wood is not flat. There's a big gap, right? Now if I took that and I did it, when I look at the paper, I see marks here and I don't see any in the middle. So that's gonna tell me I'm not getting a nice even sanding of it. So this one, the way I check it, so I'll actually take 2 separate blocks, hold it up to the light, and it allows me to kind of see. And on these 1, 2, 3 blocks, well, one, the quickest way, push it against, if you let go and it stays and there's no play or anything like that, that shows you that it's pretty much square and it's nice and even. The ones that aren't, when you do that, see how it moves forward? So this one hasn't been squared yet. When I let go of it, see how it pops forward? That means it's past 90. It's not a perfect 90 degrees. So when you glue up, you're gonna have a gap one way or another. It's just for my own sanity. I always mark an X with a pencil or a pen, just so I know what corner I've done and what corners I'm working on. So I'll do the same with these. I know these two, the wood has been cut this way, so if I take them apart, I know those need to go inside. So I'll mark there and there, so I know that those are what I need to mate my surfaces to. That way I'm not working on an edge that I'm just gonna cut out later. 2 pieces together and I squeeze them, you have a real nice clean seam. is what I want because it doesn't move. I know that those are perfectly flat to each other, and I know that that seam, when I glue it up, I'm not gonna have any gaps or movements, and it's gonna be true and symmetrical. So let's go glue it up.
We go back over here. We set it back up. I'm gonna give away trade secrets here, which Steve is probably not gonna like. Our secret thing for making sure that there are no gaps, tape. Honestly, I don't think this is that big of a secret. They use it in other industries in woodworking. Painter's tape, get our pieces together, put them on the tape. And everything has to be really roughed up when you're making handles so that you have nice adhesion with the glue that we're using. Make sure we scoot it down. Everything mates up nicely. I like to kind of get right at the side to see it to make sure. And then once I have everything on a piece of tape, so it's all in place, sometimes I have multiple pieces, then we actually take the glue. We use a CA glue. We found way more than epoxy this to be really effective. We use a CA glue. We'll take it, we just glue it. And I'm not gonna do it because this is not a scale that I even like. We would set it with an accelerator. From there, like the beginnings of a scale. Sand it flat, put a liner on it, which is just another way to stabilize the handle. And then we kind of get something like this. This is one that is going through the finishing process. It's getting oil right now, but this was a simple glue up between a piece of ironwood and like an imitation ivory. It's a clean design, it's pretty simple. Try really hard again to make sure that the surfaces mate really cleanly, that there's no gaps, that it's a nice finished looking knife. And the dogs, always the dogs. Stuck! That is awesome. This is how we make our handles. Okay, boom.